Zythera Station floated like a giant silver ring in the quiet darkness between two distant stars. Thousands of humans and aliens lived or traveled through it every day, but the rules were strict, especially one: no physical contact between species. Touch was considered dangerous, disrespectful, or even sacred depending on the culture. Because of that, people kept a polite distance. Walking with stiff shoulders and careful steps, Aidan Cross had lived on the station for only 3 months, but he already knew how fast trouble could appear. He was a human engineer who enjoyed fixing things more than talking to people. His brown hair always fell in his eyes. He rarely smiled, and he always carried a small toolkit at his belt. Yet he was liked by many because he worked hard and never complained. On this day, Aidan was inside the West Wing maintenance corridor, kneeling beside a glowing plasma valve that hummed with unstable power. A faint spark crackled at its surface, warning him that something inside was overheating. He sighed softly and wiped sweat from his forehead. "If this thing blows, half the wing will go dark," he whispered to himself. He pulled out a small scanner and ran it along the valve's surface. The reading flashed red. Someone had installed a faulty component, maybe months ago, and now the heat buildup was reaching a dangerous point. Aidan leaned closer to loosen a bolt near the base. The moment his tool touched metal, a flash of blue energy burst out. The shockwave threw him backward, hard enough to knock the breath from his lungs. He stumbled, arms flailing, trying to steady himself. He collided with someone behind him. A smooth but firm arm brushed against his hand. His fingers closed by reflex, not grabbing, not holding, but simply reacting as any person would when falling. And then he heard the voice. "How dare you touch me, human?" The words were sharp, cold, and filled with something more than anger, something like disbelief. Aidan blinked, still on the ground, and looked up. Standing over him was Captain Lyrana Val Kesh of the Aurelian Guard. He recognized her instantly. Everyone did. Her tall, elegant figure was wrapped in a dark blue uniform with silver edges. Her skin shimmered faintly like polished crystal, and her eyes glowed with a deep violet color. Her long, braided hair looked almost metallic, shifting like strands of light when she moved. Aurelians were one of the oldest and proudest alien species in the galaxy, famous for their strict traditions. And among them, touch was sacred, shared only between bonded partners or special ceremonial moments. Aidan's hand was still lightly resting against her arm. Realizing this, he jerked it away as if burned. I'm sorry. I didn't mean there was a surge. And I lost balance." His voice trembled despite his effort to sound steady. Lyrana's expression tightened. For a moment, her violet eyes flashed with pure outrage. To her people, his action was not just a mistake. It was a violation of a cultural line that should never be crossed. 2 Aurelian guards rushed forward, their boots echoing sharply in the corridor. They positioned themselves between Aidan and Lyrana, hands on their weapons. Aidan slowly raised his hands to show he meant no harm. His heart pounded hard. But not because he feared punishment. He feared accidentally insulting aliens again, something he tried so hard to avoid. One guard spoke, voice heavy with authority. "Captain, command us. This human has committed forbidden contact." Lyrana did not answer immediately. Instead, she stared at Aidan with a strange expression. Her hand, the one he accidentally touched, tingled with a warmth she had never felt before. Aurelians rarely experienced anything from human touch. Humans did not share the same energy signature or life pulse patterns. Yet she had felt something, a spark, a connection impossible to explain. Aidan swallowed and forced himself to sit up straighter. "Captain Lyrana, I swear I didn't mean to disrespect you." There was an energy burst. "I fell. It was an accident." The simplicity of his words caught her attention. Humans always spoke too casually for her taste, but his voice carried a sincerity that made her pause. She sensed no arrogance or attempt to escape blame. He genuinely regretted what happened. Her eyes narrowed, but the sharp anger in them softened slightly. "Stand down," she ordered her guards. Both guards hesitated. "Captain," I said, "stand down." Her voice was calm but firm enough to allow no argument. The guards stepped back, though confusion covered their faces. No Aurelian captain should ignore forbidden touch, even accidental. Lyrana looked at Aiden again. Explain everything. Without excuses. Aiden nodded quickly. The valve is unstable. When I tried to loosen the bolt, an energy pulse hit me. I lost control for a second and fell backward. I didn't mean to touch you. Her jaw tightened. You do not understand the meaning of what happened. For my people, this is... I know, he cut in softly. I read about Aurelian customs during training. That's why I'm apologizing. I didn't want to offend you. His voice was quiet, respectful. Many humans reacted defensively when facing alien authority. But not Aiden. His calmness surprised her. His eyes were steady even though fear flickered behind them. She studied him carefully. His breathing was fast, his hands slightly trembling, but there was honesty in his posture. Her instincts told her he was not lying, and more importantly, she sensed again the strange warmth in the place he touched her. It bothered her. It confused her. It should not be possible. She finally spoke again. Get up, human. Aiden did so slowly, maintaining distance. He kept his eyes lowered out of respect. Lyrana moved closer, studying the damaged valve. This is a serious malfunction. Why was it ignored until now? It wasn't ignored, Aiden explained. It's hidden under the secondary cooling lines. The sensor readings didn't show anything wrong from the outside. Only manual inspection could detect it. Lyrana nodded slightly. She respected competence, and the human seemed skilled. But she tried to push away the strange sensation lingering in her nerves. Fix it, she ordered. Aiden blinked, surprised. You want me to continue? After what happened? I do not punish accidents, she said, her voice cool but fair. He nodded again and returned to the valve. His hands still shook a little. Not from fear, but from the intense moment he had just experienced. Touching an Aurelian captain, something every human avoided like poison, could have ended very badly. But he was still here. Lyrana watched him work quietly. It was unusual for her to stay near a human for long. Yet something about him held her attention. He moved with quiet precision. He never panicked, even when facing something far above his rank. As he tightened a screw, another soft spark of unstable energy crackled. Lyrana instinctively stepped forward, almost reaching to pull him away. But she stopped herself just in time. There's no danger now, Aiden assured her. I disabled the heat buildup. It's just releasing leftover charge. You should have assistance, she said. They're busy in the East Wing, he answered with a small smile. Besides, I work better alone. Lyrana noticed that smile. It was faint, quiet, lacking any arrogance. She found it surprisingly disarming. When he finished, he checked the readings twice. It's stable now. End quote. Good, she said. He stood up again, dusting off his knees. Captain Lyrana, thank you for not punishing me. I really didn't mean. She raised her hand, stopping him. Enough. I understand. But do not let such a thing happen again. I won't. He took a small step backward, unsure whether he should leave or wait for permission. Lyrana's expression returned to its usual disciplined calm, but inside, her thoughts were a storm. She kept replaying the moment he touched her. No one had ever touched her without ritual or choice, yet that brief instant had felt different. Not offensive, not painful, just strange, warm, and strangely alive. She did not understand it. As Aiden quietly gathered his tools, Lyrana watched him leave the corridor. Each step he took echoed softly until he turned a corner and disappeared from sight. Her guards approached again. Captain, why did you let him go unpunished? One asked, still confused. Lyrana looked toward the empty corridor. Because something happened today. Something unexpected. I need time to think. She did not tell them about the warmth she felt or the way her energy reacted to his presence. That was a private matter. Something she did not yet fully understand. As she stood there, staring at the silent plasma valve. One thought echoed in her mind. Why did a single accidental touch from a human leave such a deep mark on her? And what would happen if fate made their paths cross again? Life on Zythera Station did not slow down after the incident. Ships came and went. Traders argued over prices. Engineers hurried between damaged systems. Diplomats gave long speeches about peace, cooperation, and understanding. Yet for Captain Lyrana Valkesh, things felt strangely different. She carried herself with the same pride as always, but something in her thoughts refused to settle. She kept remembering the human, Aiden Cross, his accidental touch, his calm apology, and the warm spark she had felt beneath her skin. The more she tried to ignore it, the more her mind returned to that moment. Aurelians rarely experienced emotional disruption, yet she found herself pausing mid-walk, losing focus during strategic meetings, and even questioning her own senses. It annoyed her deeply. She was a captain of the Aurelian Guard, not a confused youngling. She had trained her entire life to control her emotions, and yet a simple human had shaken her composure. She told herself it meant nothing. Humans were unpredictable. Their behavior was strange. Their bodies carried unstable energy patterns. Perhaps her reaction was simply a result of the plasma surge. Yes, that must be it. But even that explanation felt weak. She walked through the station's observation deck, watching ships drift through the starlit void outside. Her reflection shimmered faintly in the glass, violet eyes glowing softly, metallic hair resting neatly against her shoulders. She appeared the same, strong, focused, controlled. Then why did she feel so distracted? Before she could answer herself, someone spoke from behind her. Captain Lyrana? She turned sharply. Standing several steps away was Aiden, holding a datapad and looking slightly out of breath, as if he had run to catch her. His brown hair was messier than usual, and a small streak of grease crossed his cheek. Her heart tightened for a moment, another strange reaction she chose to ignore. "What is it, human?" she asked, keeping her voice formal. Aiden lifted the datapad. "I was told you requested the status report for the power systems. I finished it earlier than expected." Lyrana blinked once. She had indeed requested the report from an engineering officer, not specifically from him. The officer must have passed the task to Aiden. She accepted the datapad from his hand without letting her fingers touch his. She was more careful now. "Thank you," she said. He nodded and turned slightly, unsure if he should leave or stay, but something inside her pushed her to speak again. "Did you repair the West Wing completely?" "Yes. All done," he replied with a small smile. "And no more energy surprises this time." She studied him quietly. His smile was gentle. His voice, soft but steady. There was something about his presence that made her attention sharpen instead of drift. "You should rest," she said. "You worked late yesterday." Aiden gave a small laugh. "Rest doesn't happen much for engineers on this station." Her eyes narrowed a little. "That is not a healthy attitude." "It's just the truth," he said. He wasn't being disrespectful. He was just honest, direct. She almost admired it. "Still," she said, "you should take better care of yourself." Aiden blinked, surprised. "Are you worried about me?" Lyrana stiffened, caught off guard by the question. "I am responsible for everyone under my protection. That includes humans." "That makes sense," he replied, though something in his smile hinted he didn't fully believe her. Before she could respond, the station lights flickered. A faint alarm sounded in the distance. Not loud enough for panic, but enough to turn heads. "Another malfunction?" Aiden asked, already reaching for his toolkit. Lyrana's instincts sharpened. "We will check it." They walked together through the corridor, their footsteps echoing softly. She kept a safe distance, but she felt his presence beside her. Calm, warm, steady. The malfunction turned out to be a small cooling system problem near the central plaza. Aiden crouched beside a set of pipes, examining the overheated valve. Lyrana stood guard nearby, watching him work. He moved with confidence, but not arrogance. He double-checked each connection, muttering small notes to himself. His hands were steady even when sparks jumped close to his fingers. "You are very focused," she observed. I have to be, he said without looking up. One wrong move, and the pressure could blow these pipes. Then perhaps I should call more technicians, she suggested. He shook his head. More people means more chances for mistakes. I got it. She watched him again. He truly preferred working alone. She wondered why. Humans were usually social creatures. They spoke too much, moved too much, and formed groups for everything. But Aiden was different. He seemed comfortable in silence. Finally, he tightened the last bolt and wiped sweat from his forehead. Done. Impressive, she said. He looked up at her, cheeks slightly red. Thanks. Means a lot coming from you. She felt something tighten again in her chest. His gratitude was simple, but it carried weight. She had commanded soldiers, trained warriors, and led missions across star systems. Yet a human engineer made her feel seen, almost respected in a personal way. She turned away to hide her confusion. I am merely acknowledging your skill. Aiden laughed softly. Still means a lot. As he packed his tools, a group of alien traders walked past them. One of them, a tall, reptilian Vorthan, glared at Aiden and hissed something under his breath. Lorana shifted instantly, her posture straightening with authority. Is there a problem? The Vorthan stopped, lowering his head respectfully. He hurried away with his group. Aiden raised an eyebrow. He didn't like humans very much. Some species still hold fear or dislike, she said. Old habits are difficult to change. Yeah, Aiden muttered quietly. I noticed. She turned to him again, studying his face. He tried to act casual, but she sensed something under the surface. A quiet heaviness. You have experienced hostility? She asked. He shrugged. Not often. But sometimes. Depends on the person. Why does it not anger you? She asked. Most humans respond emotionally. Aiden gave a small, tired smile. Getting angry doesn't fix anything. It just makes the day worse. Her eyes softened. Humans were emotional by nature, but he had learned to calm himself. That made him stronger than he appeared. They walked back toward the main corridor. For a moment, neither spoke, yet the silence felt comfortable, not tense. As they reached the intersection, Lirana slowed her steps. Human Aiden. He looked at her quickly, surprised she used his name. Yes, I. She paused, choosing her words carefully. I have noticed you crossing my path frequently. Aiden rubbed the back of his neck. I swear I'm not following you. The station's system updates just keep sending me to places near the areas you inspect. I did not accuse you, she said. Oh. He smiled awkwardly. Then, why mention it? She felt the warmth in her chest again. Because it is unusual, and I am uncertain what it means. He looked stunned, then thoughtful. Maybe it doesn't mean anything. Or maybe the universe just has a strange sense of humor. Do humans truly believe in such randomness? Sometimes, he said. Sometimes things just happen. Sometimes they happen for a reason. Hard to tell. His answer was simple, yet something about it resonated with her. Before she could respond, a voice echoed over the station speakers. Warning, Reactor Module 3 showing unstable readings. Engineering team report immediately. Aiden's body tensed. That's serious. If it overloads, I know. Lirana stepped forward. We must go. Creasy. They raced through the corridors, weaving between rushed technicians and anxious civilians. The air smelled faintly of heated metal. Lights flickered again, stronger this time. They reached the reactor module. A group of engineers stood staring nervously at sparking machinery. Aiden pushed through them. Move aside. I know this system. Lirana stayed close but gave him enough room to work. He crawled under the reactor's control panel, his hands moving fast. Sparks shot out dangerously close to his face. Lirana stepped forward instinctively, ready to pull him away if needed. But she forced herself to stay back. She trusted his skill. Hurry, she warned softly. The energy levels are rising. I know, he muttered. Just a little more. One wire snapped loose, and a blast of light erupted. Aiden shielded his face, teeth clenched. Lirana reached out without thinking. Her hand touched his shoulder only for a second, only to steady him, but she felt the warmth again. And this time, she didn't pull away immediately. Aiden glanced up, eyes wide with surprise. "Captain?" She removed her hand quickly, regaining her composure. "Continue. Do not lose focus." He nodded, cheeks turning red. Finally, with one last adjustment, the reactor lights returned to stable green. The rumbling stopped. The emergency alarm faded. The other engineers sighed in relief. Aiden sat back, exhausted but smiling. That was close. Lirana looked at him. Her heart beat strangely fast. She had touched him willingly, something she never imagined doing. "You risked yourself," she said. "Again." "That's my job," he replied. "And I'm glad you were here." Her eyes met his. For a moment, the world around them faded. Just him and her, and the quiet pulse of something new forming between them. Something forbidden, something strong, something neither fully understood yet. But the spark was there, stronger than before, and now, impossible to ignore. The next day on Zythera Station began with a strange quietness. It wasn't the comfortable calm of routine work, nor the peaceful silence of early morning. It was the kind of quiet that comes before something important, something dangerous. Lights flickered again across several sections. Communication lines lagged. Security officers moved faster than usual. Captain Lirana Valkesh felt the tension the moment she stepped out of her private chamber. Aurelians had strong instincts, especially toward danger. Something wasn't right. The station commander approached her immediately. "Captain, we've detected unauthorized access to several engineering panels. Someone is trying to alter power routes." Her eyes narrowed. "Sabotage? It appears so." She didn't waste another second. "Show me the locations." As the commander displayed the map, Lirana recognized a pattern. Someone was targeting areas close to life support systems. One hit might not do much, but combined hits could cripple the entire station. "Find Aiden Cross," she ordered. "His knowledge of the systems will help." The commander nodded and contacted engineering. But Aiden was already on his way. He ran through the corridor with his toolkit, breath sharp and fast. The moment he saw the readings from his handheld scanner, he knew something was terribly wrong. It wasn't random malfunctions anymore. Someone was doing this on purpose. He reached the command deck just as Lirana turned toward the entrance. Their eyes met. For a moment, both paused, not in confusion, but in recognition. They had grown used to crossing paths. Perhaps even expecting it. "You came quickly," she said. "I saw the damage signatures," he replied. "This isn't normal. Someone's attacking the systems." Lirana nodded. "Then we act quickly." They moved through the station's halls together, almost naturally falling into step. Guards followed close behind. Each time they passed civilians, whispers rose behind them. Some stared in confusion. Aurelian captains rarely worked closely with humans. A few even frowned disapprovingly. Aiden noticed, but he ignored them. Lirana noticed too, but her expression remained hard and unreadable. They reached the first sabotage point, a maintenance room with wires ripped out and a burnt smell hanging in the air. Aiden knelt immediately. "Someone deliberately overloaded the coolant lines," he said. "If I don't fix it fast, the temperature will spread into life support." "Do it," Lirana said. Aiden worked quickly, fingers moving through the wires. Lirana stood guard, her eyes scanning for danger. Her thoughts drifted toward him once again. He looked tired, yet determined. His hands shook slightly, not from fear, but from the pressure of the moment. She admired his focus, his quiet courage. Her heart tightened again, that strange feeling she didn't understand. He finished the repairs and stood. "Okay. This section is safe. But there will be more. Thank you for watching. And we're come. Also Zuther on Telebatter. Unhuff. Unrana batter. Unhuff. Unhuff. Unrana. Unrana. Unhuff. Undong." Right on cue, the lights dimmed again as another alarm triggered somewhere below. Lyrana and Aiden exchanged a look. They ran. Down 2 flights of stairs. Through a corridor of panicked workers, past officers attempting to calm civilians. The station trembled slightly, as though groaning from the stress of sabotage. They reached the next danger point, a central junction room. The door was sealed from the inside. Aiden frowned. Someone's in there. Lyrana stepped forward. Open it. A guard tried the panel. Locked from the inside. Captain. Override, she ordered. As the guard typed commands, Aiden took a step forward, listening. He could hear faint tapping, like someone rewiring something quickly. Captain. We need to get in now. The door hissed open. Inside stood a figure in dark clothing, with a mask covering their face. The saboteur turned sharply at the sound of the door, eyes widening behind the visor. Aiden recognized the tool in their hand, an overload device. If activated, it would send a shockwave through the junction. Stop, Lyrana commanded. The saboteur threw the device directly at the panel. Aiden lunged before Lyrana could react. He caught the device with both hands, skidding across the floor and slamming into a wall. Aiden! Lyrana shouted. He groaned from the impact but held the device tight. I got it. The saboteur dashed toward the other exit. But Lyrana was faster. She blocked their path and disarmed them with one swift motion. The guard pinned the saboteur to the ground. Aiden pushed himself up, breathing hard. His shoulder ached from the hit, but he forced himself to stand. Lyrana moved toward him instantly. Are you hurt? Just my pride, he said with a small, weak smile. Her eyes softened a little before she quickly hardened her expression again. Reckless action does not suit you. You're welcome, he said. She almost smirked, almost. The saboteur was taken away, but the trouble didn't end. Aiden checked the junction panel. They already sent a trigger command. If we don't stop it from the main core, everything will overload. Then we go to the core, Lyrana said without hesitation. Aiden knew the path well, dangerous, narrow, and filled with unstable systems after sabotage. But he nodded firmly. Let's move. The core chamber was 3 levels below. As they descended, the lights flickered more violently. Pipes hissed with escaping steam. The station trembled again. Aiden shouted over the noise. If the core overloads, the whole station will lose oxygen in minutes. Then do not let it overload, Lyrana replied. Her tone was sharp, but it wasn't anger, it was trust. Complete trust that he could stop this. They reached the core chamber. Flames sparked near the entrance, but emergency foam kept them from spreading. Lyrana pushed aside debris to clear the way. Inside, the core pulsed with unstable light. The control panel was smoking. Aiden pulled off the casing, and his face tightened in fear. This is bad. How bad? She asked. Bad enough that we might not have time. Lyrana stepped closer. You can fix it. He met her eyes. I'll try. Try is not enough. You will fix it. Her confidence steadied him. He knelt. His hands moved fast. Pulling wires. Reconnecting circuits. Overriding faulty sequences. Every few seconds, sparks shot out dangerously close. Lyrana watched every movement. She noticed his breathing grow fast. Sweat dripped down his neck. His arms shook with strain. He was pushing himself beyond safe limits. Aiden, she said softly. Slow down. No time, he answered. She stepped closer. If you collapse, the core collapses. He didn't stop working, but he nodded slightly. Slowed his breathing. Forced his nerves to calm. There you go, she murmured. Focus. Something exploded above them, sending dust raining down. Aiden flinched, but Lyrana placed a hand on his back, steady, reassuring, warm. He froze for a second at the touch, surprised, but then kept working. The touch was not accidental this time. It was support. Encouragement. And this time, Lyrana didn't feel confused. She felt certain. Their connection wasn't a mistake. It wasn't meaningless. Another alarm blared. The core lights flashed red. Aiden, she shouted. I know. Just one more wire. The core surged. He jammed the connector into place. The lights turned stable blue. Silence filled the chamber. The danger was gone. Aiden fell back onto the floor, gasping in relief. Lirana sank to one knee beside him. "You succeeded," she whispered. He laughed weakly. "Barely." She looked at him, really looked. His exhausted smile, his dirt-covered face, his stubborn bravery. Something inside her moved like a soft, warm current. "You risked your life again," she said. "So did you," he whispered. She held his gaze. "Because you were here." The words slipped out before she could stop them. Aiden's eyes widened slightly. Neither spoke for a long moment. The room was silent except for the soft hum of the stabilized core. Aiden sat up slowly. "Captain. Lirana, there's something I need to tell you." "What is it?" "I don't know why, but I don't feel like I'm just helping a captain anymore. When you're near me, I feel..." He stopped, struggling to find words. "I feel like I don't want anything bad to happen to you. Not just because it's my job, because it matters to me." Lirana felt her chest tighten in a way she couldn't hide this time. She knew exactly what he meant. She felt it too, but admitting it out loud was dangerous. Forbidden, unthinkable. "Aiden," she said quietly, "this connection between us is not normal. I know. It is not accepted. I still know. It may cause trouble." He smiled tiredly. "I'll take the trouble." She inhaled sharply. Her heart felt unsteady, like a rhythm she couldn't control. She had never met anyone, Aurelian or human, who spoke to her with such simple honesty. Before she could speak again, the station commander's voice came through the comm. "Captain Lirana, a second sabotage group has attacked the East Wing." The moment broke. Lirana stood instantly. Duty returned to her expression. "We must go," she said. Aiden rose beside her. "Together?" She hesitated, just 1 second, then nodded. Together. They ran toward the new danger, side by side, not just as captain and engineer, but as two lives slowly, uncontrollably, becoming connected. The spark between them was no longer something they could ignore, and the next battle would test that connection more than ever. The next morning came softly, with a pale glow spreading over the alien city. Leon woke slowly, trying to understand the strange feeling in his chest. He had slept in a guest chamber offered by the council after the long night of explanations, questions, and more arguments than he could count. But the strange feeling was not fear or worry. It was something warm, calm, and heavy in a way he had not felt in years. It was the memory of Sailari standing beside him, as she defended him against her own people, the memory of her voice shaking when she said she would not let anyone harm him, and the memory of her expression softening when she looked at him, as if he was no longer a threat, but someone who mattered. When he sat up, he found a small glowing stone set near the door. It pulsed with a gentle blue rhythm. Leon touched it, and felt a message form in his mind. It was a location marker. Sailari wanted him to meet her. He took a deep breath, stood, and followed the light. The walk through the city felt different today. Aliens stared at him as they always had, but something had changed. Their expressions were no longer filled with anger or suspicion. Many looked confused, some curious, and a few even nodded politely. News of last night must have spread quickly. He did not know if that was a good thing, but it was better than the day he had first stepped foot here, when every glance felt like a threat. He followed the glowing path up a tall tower that he recognized from his earlier walks with Sailari. It was a place she liked, open, quiet, and filled with wind from all directions. When Leon stepped onto the high platform, he saw her standing near the edge, her long tendrils moving gently in the air like soft living ribbons. She turned as soon as she sensed him. She was different today, not in appearance, but in her expression. There was something calmer, steadier, and more honest in the way she looked at him. She moved toward him with slow steps. "You came." "7th time," Leon nodded. "Your message woke me up more effectively than any alarm." For a moment, neither spoke. The silence was not awkward. It simply held all the things they both had been thinking but did not yet know how to say. Sailari finally broke it with a quiet breath. "Last night changed everything. For me. For you. For my people." Leon crossed his arms, more out of uncertainty than confidence. Do your people hate you for speaking out? Her tendrils lifted softly, reacting to her emotions. Some do. Some think I have lost my mind. Some think you tricked me. Then she lifted her chin with a stubborn pride. But I know the truth. You never tricked anyone. You were honest from the beginning. You just wanted to survive. He let out a slow breath. I didn't think anyone here would ever try to understand me. Sailari stepped closer. Then you were wrong. Leon looked down for a moment, then back at her. Why did you defend me so strongly? You didn't have to fight your own counsel. Or risk your place. Sailari hesitated. Her voice grew softer. I defended you because I could not stand watching them treat you like an animal. Because everything I felt when you reached for me in the canyon was real. Because you changed something inside me that I did not know could change. She paused again, her eyes bright. And because I care. He froze. His heart made an uncomfortable but strangely pleasant jump. He stared at her with a surprise he could not hide. Care? Sailari nodded once, slowly. Yes. I care for you, Leon. He opened his mouth, but nothing came out. He felt heat in his face, something between disbelief and nervous happiness. He had prepared many possible answers, but none fit the moment. Sailari noticed his silence and stepped back, thinking she had said too much. She turned toward the edge of the tower. Before she could move away, Leon reached forward, not grabbing her, only touching her arm gently with the tips of his fingers. She stopped instantly. Her tendrils opened in surprise. I care for you too, he said. For a second, her breath caught. It was such a small sentence, simple and human. But for her it meant something huge. Slowly, she turned back to him, and her eyes softened in a way he had never seen before. But before either could say more, a loud alarm echoed across the city. The tower lights turned from blue to red. Sailari snapped her head toward the sky. Leon saw the same thing she did, several bright shapes breaking through the atmosphere, leaving trails of fire and smoke behind them. Ships, but not theirs. Sailari spoke quickly. They are not from my world. Leon tensed. Then they're not from mine either. The ships spread out in a formation, their engines glowing with a strange violet light. They looked neither friendly nor peaceful. The city below erupted into shouting and rushing crowds as soldiers assembled and barriers activated. Sailari took a sharp breath. They are approaching fast. Too fast. Leon clenched his fists. Do they want to attack? Sailari touched her communicator stone and spoke rapidly in her language. The answer she received made her expression darken. They refuse all calls. They are scanning the entire city. Sailari touched her communicator stone. They refuse all calls. Leon felt a familiar, unpleasant memory of Earth being scanned by unknown forces years ago, the same ones that had taken him and countless other humans. He stepped forward while watching the sky. They're looking for something. Sailari turned toward him slowly. Or someone. And Leon's blood went cold. Me? It is possible, she said in a low voice. Your arrival was not a small event. If another species has been watching humans, they may have followed you here. The sky shook with a deep vibration as the unknown ship spread into an attack pattern. Sailari grabbed Leon's arm. We must go. The council will want you hidden. Say. Leon pulled his arm away, not harshly, but with a firm certainty. No. If they're here for me, they won't stop unless they find me. Running will only put your people in danger. Sailari stared at him. What are you saying? He took a deep breath. I should face them. She stepped forward, her voice shaking. No. You cannot do that alone. They might take you. They might kill you. Leon forced a smile, even though fear pulled at him. I must try. I won't let your city burn because of me. She reached out and held his hand with both of hers. Her tendrils wrapped around his wrist in a reflex of fear. Then I will stand with you. He froze. Sailari, you don't need to. I do. Her voice was firm and full of emotion. I will not leave you. Everyone. The ships finally descended, hovering above the highest platform like predators studying prey. A beam of white light shone down, scanning the area until it locked onto Leon. Sailari moved in front of him immediately, her stance defensive despite the huge difference in size between her and the ship. A cold, metallic voice echoed from above. Human. You have escaped containment. Return at once. Leon's heartbeat thundered. I'm not going anywhere. Sailari raised her voice. This world is under my people's protection. You have no authority here. The voice responded. You are irrelevant. The human belongs to us. Leon stepped forward until he stood beside Sailari. No. I don't. The beam intensified as if preparing to seize him. Sailari reacted before anyone could think. She opened her hands and released a burst of bright energy from her palms. A shockwave so powerful that it shook the tower. The ship staggered upward in surprise. Leon looked at her with shock. You can do that? She replied without looking away from the ship. Only when I'm very, very angry. Other ships began charging their weapons. Sailari grabbed Leon's hand and pulled him close. No matter what happens, she whispered, do not let go. Leon tightened his fingers around hers. I won't. The first blast shot toward them, but it never reached. The city's entire defense grid activated in a glowing dome of blue light. Soldiers and citizens alike gathered below. United not by fear but by determination, Sailari felt their support through the communicator stone. Leon felt it through her hand. The invading ships hesitated. The dome reflected their weapons easily. The metallic voice spoke again, now uncertain. Human, you are protected. Leon smirked. Yes, I am. Sailari stepped forward, her voice loud and steady. Leave this world. Now. Or face every one of us. The ships paused, their scanning lights flickering. Then, slowly, they retreated into the sky, burning back into space until they vanished completely. Silence fell. Leon let out a breath he had been holding for too long. Sailari collapsed against him in relief, and he wrapped his arms around her gently. She trembled, not from fear now, but from the weight of everything that had happened. You protected me, Leon whispered. She shook her head. No. We protected each other. He rested his forehead against hers, their breaths mixing softly. What happens now? Who waited? Sailari answered without hesitation. Now. You stay. With me. Leon smiled slowly. I'd like that. The wind swept gently across the tower, carrying their warmth into the open sky. And for the first time since he had left Earth, Leon felt like he belonged somewhere not by force, not by survival, but by choice, and by someone who cared.